Well, my name's Oliver Dostal, and I currently study at the Sydney Conservatorium doing Bachelor of Composition. So I'm in my second year there. Short history about myself. I've got quite a musical family. On my mum's side, her grandfather used to build his own instruments and invent his own music that way. And then on my father's side, somewhere down the line, I believe it's great uncle is Janacek, so that's more of a classical side there. When I began music, it was through my grandmother. She was a concert pianist. She used to sit me on the piano. I used to play with her like that at the age of 4, just tapping on the piano, probably disturbing what she was doing. Eventually, I had a teacher who took me through, basically, I don't know whether you can class it as a Suzuki method, but it was more just everything was done by ear. She'd tell me to stand in the corner, she'd play a piece, I'd come back, and then I'd have to play it. This was good, it developed my ear, and I was able to have quite a tonal focus in music and understand things quite quickly, but in terms of notation, it was lacking at that time. So I started to explore around year 9, get very serious with music, and that's when I decided to take notation quite, take it on board. So I studied notation and theory as well. I had, at that time, I bought a copy of Behind Bars by Elaine Gould, and Charles Marie Widow's The Instrumentation and Practicality of Orchestra was one of my best friends at the time, and I just used to read through that, light reading, trying to understand different parts of music. I then completed Year 12 studying Music 2 and Music Extension. I did 4 compositions all up in just 1 performance, so by then I knew that I was pretty geared towards doing something with composition. In 2019, end of 2018, I was accepted to then study at the Conservatorium, went in for Bachelor of Composition, and I've been doing that since. In my free time, I spend a lot of time turning piano sketches into orchestrations. I feel that that's quite beneficial in a lot of cases, but it's also a lot of fun as well. And it's a way for me to explore just how far you can push just a 4-voice texture and realize it with multiple instruments. I also like to mute movies and play over the top of those and write my own sort of film cues. At the same time, with the Bachelor of Composition, of course, that's quite a different avenue where we're exploring all these different types of music and studying very different things. Recently, I've just completed electroacoustic semester with Dr. Ivan Zavada. So very different to what I do in my free time, which is good. So I'm getting both ends of the spectrum, which is fantastic. And of course, just last thing that I do on weekends is the performance side to just keep up my piano, and that I go to the nursing homes and I just play the piano for them, which is good. And like I said, that keeps up my performance side and also gives back to the community. The inspiration for my piece comes from having these 2 ideas, and there's a clear line between the 2 of them. You can tell when it transitions into this second phase. The first idea involves these clashing chords. I've got major 13ths, sharp 11ths, minor 9ths, accompanied by this. You've got this call and response from the top end of the orchestra and the lower end. And so they play to begin with. Then there's this tension build-up, resolution that then goes into this final idea, which is this melodic climb up into, once again, a resolution. The piece just comes to a satisfying close that way. So I'll give it a play. that's the piece there. The work, it sets out to sort of paint this picture that I had, which was basically my take on, you've got the 1920s where you have these Gatsby-like attendees in the nicely dressed tuxedos and carrying endless amount of pearls, and they would go up to the Golden Gallery there, and before the classical performance or the opera or whatever they were there for, you'd have this fanfare that would basically do the same thing that this fanfare is to do, is to bring everybody to attention and call for something that is going to happen, and it works as a statement piece of itself, but as well as a transition without taking away from what's about to happen. So that, and with the piece, I tried to reflect that with I really enjoy combining different genres. My extension piece was Brahms' Hungarian dance, but a bossa nova version. So I like melding two different genres together, and with this it was a take on that jazz era, that swing band sort of take, but also all the elements of the classical genre to try and push an orchestral fanfare forward. In some cases, in hindsight now, I feel like I could do it even further upon hearing that just then. For inspiration with the piece, I'll start with the beginning. There is a clear. You can tell that it comes from somewhere. And that's, of course, the James Bond theme. You have that clash of chord followed by the lower bass response. And I'll just go to where it starts. So that's that one there. And then I also said that the other inspiration came from an interesting place to look is I've done this fanfare competition a couple of times, and the one place that I always go to look is that's where the production companies come up before movies begin, and they're short bursts of sound that are to get your attention, advertise the company and show who's producing, and so with my piece, the second half is gearing more towards that Columbia, the Statue of Liberty, that area there where you have that melodic climb. Resolution. There you go. So everyone knows it. It's something that sticks in your head, but it's all over within 20 seconds, which I did a bit of research into, and just how exactly that works. So that's the piece there, and the inspiration and a bit about me.